Hello, my friends. So the time we've been all waiting for is finally here. We finally got something new to go off of for Campaign Evolved beyond leaks. As per usual, we are going to overanalyze whatever we have in front of us. So we actually have a lot. Number one, we're kicking off with our ESRB rating, confirming rated M. Violence, blood and gore, language. Now, I don't remember 100%. I'm actually going to check. So Combat Evolved was rated M for just blood and gore and violence. So could be that we're gonna be getting some big boy words in this game. I think in general, people don't mind that. It's a game where we're dealing with war against a genocidal collection of aliens, so I think a few bad words here and there are kind of justified. But anyway, moving on to the actual stuff. We have the classic Pillar of Autumn alarm going off while Johnson is walking and Marines are running about. So this is the beginning of Pillar of Autumn as the Covenant begin invading. And remember, we are going to be getting completely reimagined cutscenes. The cutscene director, the cinematic director, has a background. I want to say he worked on like some of the Forza games or something like that. He has a very distinct style, which we did see back in October. So we're getting a lot of looks at his style, and we're getting, this is, like I said, it's kind of a reinterpretation of the cutscenes where classic Halo has very simplistic presentation in their cutscenes, and I'm not saying that in a bad way at all. Like, I love what those games did with their cinematography and blocking and everything. This is a bit more modern action movie, but great just trailer editing. But then we get a tick. I think that's what they're called, ticks. The boarding crafts that Covenant use to invade our ships, to board our ships. So I'm wondering if this exterior shot is a part of the prequel missions and it's not the actual Pillar of Autumn. Just looking at that planet, it's kind of hard to tell. It does not appear to be the Halo ring, because it definitely does not look like Threshold. It could be. It could be that just we're seeing the edge of it and it has kind of a highlight. I guess to be fair, what we could be seeing down below the tick, kind of bottom middle of the screen, could be the bridge of the Pillar of Autumn, where it kind of overhangs. We will proceed. So we're getting a cutscene of some actual combat happening. I'm going to go on a limb and say maybe this is happening at the end of the mission. And so maybe Chief and Johnson get a little moment together before they hop in the escape pods.
You've heard the story.
Speaking of escape pods, we are launching out, and what we're seeing on the Pillar of Autumn itself is extremely reminiscent of how the exterior of the Pillar of Autumn looked in Reach. So they're sticking to a lot of like the same design language. Bumblebees kind of have some orange accents. That's not a bad thing at all. But overall, I mean, very similar to what we've seen in the past with them. And then here's that shot from the leaked screenshots.
Halo. The Chief.
We'll skip by that because we've seen it before. Whoop, let's go back a little. So this looks like it's the same. Yeah, I think this is the same scene that we saw with Johnson and that Marine in combat. And this is clearly right before Chief gets onto the escape pod and they evacuate. So what he's going to end up doing here, he's shooting downrange at the Covenant, and he's going to grab the Marine that's on the ground, just like original Halo 1, toss him into the pod, and they take off. Next shot, we are in a Forerunner facility. The question is, what mission could that be? Because see, like they're doing kind of like, typical trailer editing where we're getting multiple scenes. They're trying to make it look like Chief is shooting downrange, then we're getting a reverse shot where he's coming towards camera, and then there's a hunter, so it's almost trying to give it the appearance like, okay, Master Chief is fighting that hunter, but yeah, going from Pillar of Autumn to Forerunner. So the particles behind Chief there don't look like it's purely just an explosion. It looks like there's a little bit more going on to it. So I'm wondering, this could be a few different things. First of all, maybe there are fusion coils throughout the missions, and this is just like a Forerunner fusion coil. We've had that kind of thing before. And so functioning with the hard light kind of deal, that's a possibility. Or perhaps Chief is fighting Sentinels here. And either when Sentinels explode, they emit those kind of particles, or could be weaponry. I'm not saying necessarily a Sentinel beam. Could be something different. Yeah, it's really, really hard to tell. But then, anyway, moving forward, Truth and Reconciliation. This is that Hunter cutscene that we got a little glimpse at in the leaked screenshots. So, basically, what I've gathered from this is while Keyes and the Marines get onto the Spirit dropship that they are hijacking, Chief stays behind to actually fight those Hunters, and it kind of seems like get them into position. So, Captain Keyes can pilot our Spirit dropship to take out the Hunters there. The big question I have is, like, is that Chief's plan, or did Chief kind of get cornered and Keyes is actually saving him? But, you know, like I said, reinterpreting the cutscenes, we're getting the same kind of overall blocking where Keyes uses the shape of the Spirit dropship to be able to take out two Hunters at once. But we're getting a little bit more action and tension in the mix, having Chief actually staying back to fight them. Also, of note, you know, very few Halo games have Master Chief actually doing much in the cutscenes, as far as like any type of action. That makes it sound kind of dumb, just because like obviously Halo 2 Chief is doing some really cool stuff, but I want to say it wasn't until like Halo 5. I think Halo 5 is the first time we actually saw Master Chief in a cutscene shooting a gun. Anyway, we're going to continue on. So finally we get a look at Keyes, and yes, he looks pretty much exactly like what we saw in the cover art for the collection of the first 3 Halo novels that's coming out in the pretty near future. Of course, he's kind of bathed in shadow, and that's another thing that I love about this is they aren't afraid to have shadow. There are so many modern games that, especially remakes and remasters, where everything is really bright, and here we have some very moody lighting, and I think that is fantastic. A little bit more Chief, or I mean, Captain Keyes there. Oh, interesting. So, they are not going to have the hologram glove emitters for Cortana, like they did in Halo Infinite. I had a feeling they were going to do that, and I've been proven wrong. Looks like Chief will carry a little device that Cortana can be projected from. So that way, he can hold Cortana out in his hand or place her on something like this. So as, you know, as Cortana delivers some exposition on the Covenant and Halo, then, yeah, we actually get to have her on screen. If you remember this cutscene in Halo 1, Cortana's just speaking through Chief's helmet emitters. So having her actually present does include her character a little bit more than what we had before. That's not a bad thing. Not at all. And here's that part from the cutscene. And so I'm not going to go into crazy detail about this. Like, there's a lot of negativity going on about this, about her face. I'm trying to be pretty tactful about this because more often than not, they are using an actual person's face for the 3D model that they're using. I think it's not perfect casting for Cortana. Like, there's a lot of people saying that she looks like a man. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I saw Angry Lunch Lady. Here's the thing. Cortana is a character that's very sarcastic and witty. And she's kind of that light-hearted opposition to Chief's, like, just stoicism. So I think that this is just kind of a bad shot in particular to show Cortana. Like, This is on the Pillar of Autumn. You can see the display screen, so it's not her on Truth and Reconciliation, but it's in a moment where she's looking over at either Keyes or Master Chief, and it's a more serious moment. I think when we're getting more of the lighthearted aspect and she's smiling, I think we're going to actually be like, yeah, that does look like Cortana. My biggest issue, honestly, is her hair. There's a lot of criticism about why she blue and not purple. I think that's just, number one, consistency, and number two, purple is a design color for the Covenant. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why Bungie decided to make Cortana blue after Halo 2. I'm a little mixed where it's just like, I would have loved it if they stuck to the guns of Combat Evolved and made her purple. At the same time, though, I love consistency. We kind of have it established now, ever since Halo 3, Cortana is blue. We got kind of a pinkish purplish in Halo Infinite, but that was to kind of separate her from the weapon. And also, we weren't fighting Covenant in that game, so it kind of freed up that in a very simplistic color theory kind of way. But anyway, nothing to like go into detail about this, but I think people are being a bit harsh. Like, yeah, I think Cortana like should be like an absolute bombshell, but I'm not going to say that she isn't feminine looking. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Anyway, moving on. Captain Keyes, looking like a badass. So a few things to note here. Okay, so we have Cortana there in the back delivering her exposition. Looks like at this moment, Chief is going back to retrieving her. And I'm guessing this is when Captain Keyes is delivering the last few lines that he has. I gotta say, he looks great. We're here with his Marines. First of all, obviously, far left, there is a Marine holding a plasma rifle, and it looks appropriately sized. And so, like I've been saying in previous videos, how it's almost like they have been scaling down the human weapons to make them size appropriate for the humans. Makes perfect sense. Meanwhile, Covenant weapons are absolutely massive, and that is exactly how it should be. I'm wondering what the deal is with the two Marines with the ARs. Maybe some of these Marines are actually following Chief all the way to this point. You know, it's not a major change in any way, but looking over at the right, the Needler, as per usual, we're not getting a great detailed shot, a particular good angle to see if they did change the model for the Needler or not. But I'm wondering if... I have a feeling Keyes is going to be equipped with the Needler in this section, like the original. I wonder if he's walking towards the camera, and then Mr. Needler over there on the right is just going to hand him that weapon. So just slight change of blocking. It doesn't really change anything drastically. Just a little bit of a different flow. Okay. What are we doing here? Is that the longsword? Yeah, most likely that's the longsword that Chief is getting into. I don't know what else that would be, because the background in all of its compressed YouTube artifacty glory looks like we've got fires and stuff like that, and Chief is getting into the seat of something. The windows look massive, but with slight redesigns that could explain why we're not exactly seeing the frames of any of the windows. Let's just assume for right now this is indeed the longsword. Because Chief is in the process, after he sits down, he is reaching for Cortana. He's going to retrieve Cortana out of his head. Yet another slight change if that is the case. But we are seeing the Pillar of Autumn right before it self-destructs. It's so hard to actually see because of how compressed it is, and you know, we're getting some of that motion blur and stuff like that. There was some concept art. For some reason, I never did a breakdown video on the concept art, but the concept art was showing a massive army of Flood up against the Pillar of Autumn, at least in the Warthog run. I'm just wondering if on the right side of the frame, if some of that mess on the Pillar of Autumn is Flood. Really cool to see the Pillar of Autumn actually have its guts spilled out all over the place. And then, oh, guys, okay, so this is interesting. So that previous video where I was breaking down those screenshots, we got to look at a shotgun. And we have a Marine on the left and on the right holding a shotgun. My biggest concern about the shotgun in the screenshot was that it looked extremely stubby, extremely teeny tiny. And it purely could have been just something about the angle that we were looking at. Because over here, it looks like it's at least the same length as the AR. We're seeing it out of focus. There's a Marine on the left equipped with it and on the right. Also, the angle that we saw in that screenshot, we were only seeing one green sight in the front and no sights in the back. Well, we saw sights, but we couldn't see if they were glowing. But this guy over on the right holding a shotgun, he's further away, so even more out of focus, but sure appears to be that that's the case. So when you're actually holding it, you're going to see the rear sights just fine, as far as the green glowing aspect of the rear sights are only seen from that angle. But anyway, I gotta wonder if this is just this seems like it's a completely new moment, but maybe Johnson is going to be giving his speech in an armory instead of out in like the vehicle bay. So having all his guys gear up right here, and then he's going to give his speech, and then we're back to Chief. As a whole, how are we all feeling about the look of the Pillar of Autumn? Because original Halo 1, we were dealing with mostly grays. And Anniversary made it very warm and yellow. And here we are back to mostly grays. We just have some orange and yellow accents. I think this looks fantastic.
I'm telling today.
But moving forward, even again, like that shotgun looks pretty beefy. I definitely would have preferred if they stuck to the look of the original shotgun in terms of a little bit more of the grayish, silverish kind of thing, like the AR, and then accented with the blue sights. But again, very likely we're going to be getting a remake of Halo 2 and 3, and this is all about consistency. And I could definitely see that they would choose green instead of blue just to make it stand out. But hey, this is purely just a subjective preference kind of thing. But then right here, here's where our juicy stuff really starts. So 1 year before the ring. Number one is the 1 year before the ring. Is that just in the trailer, or is this a part of what's actually in game with the prequel mission? Is it going to say 1 year before the ring? And is that basically presenting the game in a way where there's almost like a built-in assumption, like, yeah, you know what Halo is. And will this actually be playable before the Pillar of Autumn? Like, that's my biggest thing I'm curious about, is will we actually be playing this before that? Or is this like an unlockable thing? Congratulations, you beat the game. Now you get more stuff to play. Because it really could be either way. Very, very eager to see that. I'm guessing it's going to be we get to play it beforehand, because narratively speaking, these are meant to really help establish the relationship with Chief and Johnson. I almost feel like that would defeat the purpose if we were getting this as an unlockable to play after the main game. Let's just continue on.
This one you haven't heard.
So, Spirit Dropship. I'm starting to formulate what I think the flow will be for the prequel missions. We'll get to that at the very end. But I'm guessing, especially if the 1 year before the ring thing, if that's actually on screen in the game itself, it's not just the trailer. This is basically the opening of that. Would that make it the opening of the game as a whole? I would kind of hope that there'd be sort of like almost like an equivalent to the prologue sequence in Halo 4. That would be probably the best way to kind of set the stage for new players. But anyway, Spirit Dropship driving towards that Covenant ship. And that's a Covenant ship we've only seen the design of once, and that was in the development footage from October, when they were showing some of the behind the scenes stuff. However, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is in the Warfleet book that has like all of the Halo ships. Maybe there is something that I'm just not aware of. Anyway, let's proceed forward. And so that Spirit dropship is now docking. I'll be honest, a lot of the Covenant vehicles have this kind of texture. I'm not crazy how the light hits it and everything. That's just a little nitpicky thing. I kind of felt like 3 and Reach really nailed what the material should look like on Covenant ships and architecture. But little nitpick, it does not take away from the fact that it does look good. But yeah, so Spirit dropship is docking in this ship, and wouldn't you know it? Well, before I get too far ahead of myself, we do have a look at this jackal or skirmisher. See, it could be just a regular jackal. And if I remember correctly, basically this is just like what the females look like, that they have like kind of like the feather head crest type of thing going on. But the intent behind it could be this is what a skirmisher looks like, and they will function slightly differently. You know, think like in Halo Infinite, where there's that slight difference between how the jackals fight versus how the skirmishers fight. But yeah, this is exactly what we were seeing in those leaked screenshots, where we kind of have, I know Mr. Rebs Gaming was referring to this as like a faction of Covenant that we've never seen before. I don't know what to make out of that phrasing and that terminology, because, you know, especially this time in the war, Covenant is Covenant. So I'm just kind of assuming that this is sort of like a group of Covenant that has a bit more religious significance. And so that's why we're seeing the variations in their armor and all that. I'm at the point now where it's like, okay, the prequel missions are probably going to establish that the grunts, the grunt miners, are the one on the left, the purple. And then I suppose the one on the right could kind of function similarly to a Grunt Ultra, if that's the case, dealing with the Halo Reach style requirement for 2 shots to the head to actually take them down. Anyway, moving forward. They're waiting for someone. You know, the jackal slash skirmisher has its hands behind its back, so they aren't expecting a threat. Oh, and we got to look at the back. I was talking about how I was wondering if if we call them ultras, if the Grunt Ultra essentially has a Grunt Mule thing going on with his backpack, methane tank. Does not appear to be. Whatever the functionality is behind that, if it's purely just a completely different design for the methane tank, or if it actually has its own special purpose, could be a shield generator. That's always a possibility. But yeah, these guys aren't expecting what comes next, and they're actually opening up the Spirit dropship. Something to note, it almost looks like the Spirit dropship can... I think it can open just small sections instead of the entire bay. Yeah, that's just a small section, so it's not just everything opening all at once and all the troops spilling out at the same time. Obviously, I think in-game, that's how it's going to be, because they're going to want to get their troops out onto the battlefield as fast as possible. But it's just a little world-building thing where it's just like, it does have a less extreme way of occupants going in and out. But here we go. Now, this is the part they don't expect, is Master Chief in Mark IV armor, exactly like the storyboards. I love the fact that they just translated that. So, Chief's armor here is basically his Forward Unto Dawn armor. However, he has the default Mark IV shoulders. And I think that is like such a perfect blend, bringing all that together. And then, of course, he's got a battle rifle, not an AR. We kind of knew already. I think even Halo Studios told us straight up that the battle rifle would be in the game. Yeah, sure enough. And so, yeah, this looks really, really cool. And, you know, yeah, these are assets that were made for Halo Infinite. 100%. Is that a bad thing? No, because it's all the same lore, and we're kind of dealing with a certain degree of visual fidelity where it's just like, if this was the design they're going to use, why would they do anything different? So this is exactly what makes sense for Chief to look like at this time in the war.
What?
But yeah, look at that. That's the Forward Unto Dawn helmet. And that's another thing that I just really love is consistency. Number one, we're not like making these huge retcons. We're not having it where we're making up yet another design for Master Chief in Mark IV, because at this point it seems like Master Chief has had like 5 or 6 different suits of Mark IV throughout the years. Obviously, that was the bulk of the war. He was wearing Mark IV. Anyway,
They noticed.
next, we actually go to gameplay, and we're on the ground. At least it seems to be. I'm kind of wondering, is it possible that we aren't on a planet's surface, and this is inside of the Covenant ship? So there is a story in one of the comics. Actually, it was the Halo graphic novel. It took place on a ship. It was the shipmaster. Well, before he was a shipmaster, the Spec Ops commander, Halfjaw. I'm not going to try to say his Sangheili name. I can't say it. But yeah, basically, it was on a Covenant ship called the Infinite Succor, Sucker, whatever. And it had kind of a habitat inside of it, and that habitat was basically to have plants and animals to eat. I kind of think that the entirety of the prequel missions will not be planet side at all. So mainly, I'm looking at the fact that everything else shows that we're on Covenant ships and all that type of stuff. But up here, that Covenant structure looks like it's kind of a more permanent fixture. It's not just like this was a base drop. But I do love this. Like, obviously, we got our grunts down here, so we do know for sure that these are our equivalents to like minors and majors or ultras or whatever. We got jackals up here in sniper positions. Question is, are they going to just have needle rifles, or will they have anything beyond that, like actual beam rifles? There is a brute over there, but then just like that structure right there, we got another one right there, and it's got a door. I really, really doubt that this is planet side. And just, I like the explosion quite a bit there. After marathoning all of the the entire Halo franchise leading up to this, later games, the grenade explosions got kind of weaker and weaker, at least in appearance. I think there wasn't anything particularly wrong with Infinite, but it's just nice to see a pleasant, nice big explosion there. Looks like needle tracers. So the beam rifle could still be in the game, but what we do have here are definitely needlers. So we're getting a view up here, and look, Covenant structure all along that. I could be wrong. It 100% could be that this is planet side, but the planet that we just saw is totally glassed. It could be a moon. Like, we kind of know that there are habitatable moons that can be in orbit of larger planets, and we've definitely seen that in Halo stories before. But I'm wondering if this is basically a big, like, dome ceiling that is kind of projecting a sky and like a fake light source. Obviously out sprint. I just noticed something. Bottom left. It's real quick. There's like a little bug crab creature thing. That's pretty cool. Just another thing that just adds to the world building. Yeah, that guy looks like a skirmisher, and we took him out. I gotta say, I really like how the BR is looking in Unreal. It is basically the Infinite BR, but it looks like they've changed up a few of the details on it. The little bit I can hear, it sounds cool. Doesn't sound like it's just the Infinite BR. Right after he takes out that skirmisher, I would imagine the next target is going to be that brute that's shooting at us. But we will get to the brutes in just a moment. There's some juicy details with the brutes. But speaking of brutes, we got a brute plasma rifle right here. See, unfortunately, with this much movement, the motion blur is not doing us any favors. But yeah, Brute Plasma Rifle, just kind of spicing this up. So we're seeing that skirmisher design, what I've been saying is a skirmisher design, and it appears to be just a regular jackal in functionality. So, I don't know, to me, that kind of means it could just be purely an aesthetic. I'm going to see if we can get a better look at this human that's engaging that grunt. Because these guys are Marines right here. We can see that. But we're in a Covenant armory. That is pretty cool. There are needlers right there. We saw in a previous frame there were plasma rifles. It's hard to see what's right there. But, man, I'm hoping I can get like a completely uncompressed version of this because there are some details that are very interesting. I can't tell if that's a Marine right there or if he has something else, because looking at him, see, there's so many different effects happening. He just, he got shot by a plasma pistol right there, so he's just got a wash of plasma pistol all over him. It just does not look like a Marine in terms of what he's wearing. But I could be wrong. It could just be with everything else going on. It's just really hard to tell. But for sure, these guys are Marines. So it's not purely just Chief and Johnson. Guys, the shield effects look fantastic. Look at that. They're very, very prominent. Before we move on, first of all, classic Covenant crate right there, just like my screenshot breakdown. I'm hoping that they do put them in the main game, the main story, and that they're not just in the prequel missions. I mean, it's fine that they don't. It's not that big of a deal. I just know the great majority of us prefer the design of the Covenant crates that are like this. You can see over here on the right side, we do have the needler ammo. And it's not like how it was in Halo 1, where they're just crystals. They are actually integrated into, like, the equivalent of, like, magazines. I'm really, really eager to actually see what the needler looks like in first person now, because it definitely looks like it's more or less the Infinite model, but I want to see if they took out the ammo counter. I feel like that would have been a pretty easy fix. Just a small thing just to make it a little further away from that. Just another thing to note, man, like, this environment looks amazing. I really, really do love, like, I think that they just nailed the Covenant look. I don't think Anniversary did the Covenant stuff an injustice necessarily, but this looks great. And that door does just scream Combat Evolved to me. So I do like that. We are in that kind of environment that we were talking about before. It really does look like it's outdoors, but the Covenant floor is kind of covered in dirt, which makes me think like, okay, this isn't like they hot dropped a base. This has been here for a while. We could be on a planet that the Covenant are occupying. That's a possibility. So that could be an alternative if this is not indeed like a big artificial sky above us. But another thing to note, we got ourselves our first look at the fuel rod cannon, and it looks pretty nice. It has some Halo 5 aspects to it, but from what we've seen before, I think it's going to have like the top loading magazine for it. But see, I would have to actually make like a direct comparison to see if this is literally the Halo 5 fuel rod cannon. And look, I know that there's a lot of people that are going to have an issue if it literally is the same asset. I get it, but at the same time, I think it's such like a minor thing where it's like doesn't really make the game less fun. But anyway, back to this. We are fighting a Wraith, and we just took it out. Big, glorious explosion. The explosions look so good. All these years of playing Halo Infinite has the worst explosions of the entire franchise. That's not a subjective thing. You know, me, Mr. Positive, I'm saying that the explosions suck in Infinite because they do. And it's funny how they used to be even worse than what they actually are now. But anyway, Johnson. And Johnson is rocking Orion armor, it looks like. I didn't notice this when I first watched it. He has like the like shoulder mounted kind of deal right there. And yeah, he's got those heavier duty shoulder pads, forearm armor, chest plate, all that stuff. But here we go. He has the stanchion. This thing is so cool. You might remember it being a cosmetic in Halo Infinite, which obviously they're using that asset. Let's just get over it. So the stanchion is basically, let's take a railgun and a sniper rifle and combine them into one awesome weapon. And somehow we have never actually been able to use that in game. It was introduced in Contact Harvest, which is, at this point, it's funny thinking back that this is an early novel in the grand scheme of things, because it used to be a much later novel that came out after Halo 3. But Johnson took out some insurrectionists using one of these, and from like a crazy distance. So these are like the best of the best when it comes to like sniper rifles. So I really, really hope that this isn't just purely a badass thing for Johnson to have to kind of make him a little closer to effectiveness to Chief. Hopefully we actually get to use this at some point, but it is crazy. It is super cool that we actually get to see it in use finally. But yeah, look at that Orion armor. That is so cool. Yeah, Chief just turning around looking like a badass. Like, again, now we got an even better look at his chest. It is straight up Mark IV. So really, it's just, he's wearing straight up Mark IV armor, and he has just his Forward Unto Dawn helmet. But yeah, look at Johnson. And he knows what the ladies like. Okay, so I'm going to address the whole Steve Harvey thing, because that's what's been going around everywhere. Sure, it's a black dude with a mustache. I mean, I'm sure people could have drawn that comparison before. Is it because the mustache on the sides goes down a little below his mouth? Is that what it is? Is it just the model of the face? Like, I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't really care in terms of like, I don't think he looks bad. He doesn't look wrong. He definitely looks like a young man, but it's like, here's the thing. Johnson in lore is like 70 years old at this point. But there are two big factors. Number one, cryosleep. A lot of UNSC personnel spends many, many months and eventually years in cryosleep. That all adds up. But also, he is a Spartan 1. He was part of the Orion Project. And so we don't know what the long-term effects are with Spartan augmentations. And so it is safe to say that being a Spartan 1 has kept Johnson quite spry.
You ready to get to it?
Yeah, so that must be like just the very beginning.
You ready to get to it?
So I said this in my reaction.
Now you ready to get to it?
It sounds like it's not David Scully, but he's doing a great job matching that. And I also said in my reaction, I think the writing is spot on. Like, this is Johnson. For those that have played a ton of Halo Wars 2, I played a fair amount, but once the DLC was out, I was kind of past the game. Like, I played a little bit of Johnson. I know back then they did not get David Scully, and so they just got a sound-alike actor. I'm wondering if it's just that guy. I think he's doing a great job. Oh, interesting. So, this environment, again, I think we're on a ship. Oh, it's crazy to see Covenant architecture that is white and gold instead of purple. But so we have some zealots. They have gold armor instead of that white armor. At least it looks like that. And they are having a little dueling match. I doubt it's like a fight to the death. It's probably more of like a training honor type of thing. And we got some grunts just kind of watching on.
You said.
Oh, we heard a wart. Wart confirmed. I mean, I think we had a wart in the October stuff. But yeah, this looks like a really, really cool arena that we'll be fighting in. So Johnson's going to be giving us some sniper support, it looks like.
Long.
So we do see our difference between cutscene and gameplay.
No.
Slightly less expressive face in game. Okay, so Johnson took out that, well, one of the elites. Not sure if a grunt or that other elite went for that ghost, but that's also another interesting thing is like this environment is large enough that we can have some vehicle combat. Over here, we have energy sword symbols on right by the door. So maybe that's that armory that we end up going into soon after. Could be a completely different armory, or it could just be that this room has that energy sword display around there, just signifying that this is a room where the elites get to do some sword fighting. And it looks like that's the elite that went on the ghost. And we took him out, picked up the energy sword. Maybe that was the other elite. Or there's just more. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot that we don't see on screen. Yeah, overall, this is all looking amazing. I stand by my theory, guys. I'm pretty sure this is inside the Covenant ship. Look at this. This looks like it's a big thing emitting a projection. This is all a big dome, and this is all inside of that ship. I stand by that. It's all around the perimeter. So we get a big area to fight in. I'll be honest, I was hoping for some urban warfare for the prequel missions, but this is so new and different. This is really cool and very alien. It seems like it's very distinct from anything that's in the main missions as well. I wonder if this is going to be like a pseudo, not open world, but kind of structured like the mission Halo, because this looks like a very big, expansive area. Like, it's possible we don't actually go out around this area at all, but we did see some gameplay that looks like it's in this canyon over here.
This place.
Needle rifle and some Marines. These are interesting looking Marines. Going back to that one that I was hung up on earlier inside the Covenant Armory, is it possible either we're just getting some different Marine designs, or I wonder if this is a completely different faction. Like, maybe these are like insurrectionists or something that we're fighting alongside. The big question would be, it's like, why would there be insurrectionists in this place? And my mind goes to maybe they were held prisoner, and why are a Covenant holding prisoners? And they typically don't do that. So lots of mysteries. It's really hard to see, but it looks like we have an elite miner that is rocking that purple armor. So similar to like how the grunts, the equivalent to miners, are purple, this dude is all purple. Yep, taking him out. It's really hard to tell. I wanted to try to see if that particular elite was wearing any distinct armor other than just like the color variation. But hey, that is a nice needler explosion, and there is a lot of purple blood in there. And what do we have here? Maybe my theory about there being prisoners aboard.
And trust.
No, never mind. Well, okay, so we have like these stasis pod kind of things. There's an elite in here. There's a lot of mystery with this. It's like, could it be the equivalent to cryo for the Covenant, or is this something else going on? There's a lot of prominence on this. We also could look at the possibility of there being that these are for prisoners, and these could be elites that did something that led to them getting locked up like this. Lots of possibilities. And then here's our big villain for the prequel missions. We have a prophet.
I know.
He looks pretty cool.
Freaky.
So here's that shot that we had from the screenshots.
Have you enjoyed your stay so far?
Okay, so he's got to be talking to Chief and Johnson. He doesn't have regular like hoop earrings like the hierarchs. He has gauges. All right, so yep, just like I was thinking in the screenshots, that was a cutscene, and we have Chief and Johnson downrange.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're on the clock.
Perfect writing for Johnson. Like, that is just so spot on. If you remember in the screenshots, the brutes are all rocking like these big red lights on their chest. And I was wondering if that just had to do something with shield strength. But what we're actually seeing here, he shoots the brute, and the brute then follows up by attacking his comrades. Because when you shoot that little doohickey, they go berserk. And they just start lashing out at everything around them. I would imagine that means that they are an extreme threat to ourselves as well. But they probably just go after whatever's closest to them.
The thing with simple.
Yep, so this is an actual gameplay moment where clearly we shot that. And we're getting a few more looks. Like, he's got, on the back of this fabric, he's got some, like, kind of Forerunner glyphs. So that makes me think, if you watched that screenshot breakdown, it looked like, to me, it was possible that they had, like, Forerunner glyphs, like, tattooed on themselves. I think it's more like this is just a big, like, undersuit kind of thing. That's not just, like, a bunch of exposed flesh and fur.
Good job. They always get caught.
Yeah, so we're getting berserking just like in Halo 2 and 3. I'm wondering if they're going to function. They're probably going to function like the berserkers in Infinite. Here's another thing from the screenshots that I was looking at and just trying to figure out how is that going to function in gameplay. So we have like this big gondola vehicle type thing. And editing BRO.D.S.T here, I can't say 100% sure, but it sure seems like a beam rifle is being fired at Master Chief and Johnson. That, to me, sure looks like the tracer that you get with a beam rifle. And the color does not match a needle rifle, that's for sure. And it's definitely a precision weapon. And it looks like we're actually just riding through this environment on it. And they're going to jump off the bridge to fight us. I love it. Oh, fantastic. And then we do get a little bit of the spiker in action, which that I wonder if they're just using what was going to be in Halo Infinite and then ended up being cut just because of the drama happening behind the scenes there with Infinite. But the spiker looks really cool. Again, got our classic Covenant crate there. But yeah, here we actually have hunters that are wearing the white and gold ceremonial armor, or just whatever this group of Covenant is. And here, we got our first look at the SMG. So that appears to confirm a lot of speculation. There was a lot of thought, like, okay, why is it that the AR is only 32 rounds? The most realistic explanation was that they wanted to give the AR more of a actual rifle functionality and have something fill the bullet hose spot in the sandbox. And sure enough, SMG. And again, getting in with the idea that we're going to be getting a Halo 2 and Halo 3 remake. This is basically like, okay, we got the asset good to go here. Carry it over into the sequels. I sure hope that Halo 2 and 3 remakes, where they keep dual wielding. That's my biggest thing. But focusing on this game in particular, so we have a big hologram of this ship. Yeah, I'm 100% convinced that the entire prequel mission is in and around this ship, or the entirety of these prequel missions, I should say. But yeah, Johnson with that stanchion, he's taken down Covenant left and right. It's too bad he didn't have this thing in Halo 2 and 3. But hey, maybe in the remakes.
Bring us Spartan.
3 all new missions, we know that. So we did get to see a little bit of the space combat before. So I'm guessing the mission ends with the space combat. But man, this isn't just space combat. Like, with the saber. This feels like we're actually seeing something out of the books. Like seeing all of these cannons on the ship firing at us, and then us going through and come on, that is so cool. So we got Space Banshees there. So here, I'll be honest, I'm not crazy about the redesign for the cruiser. It's the same overall kind of silhouette, and maybe a part of it is just kind of like the angle that we're seeing. It looks kind of fat. It's not like that big of a deal because it still looks like, you look at that and it's like, yep, that is a Covenant ship. It just does not look like the CCS battle cruiser. Little nitpick. However, the overall environment, kind of reminiscent of the desert canyon biome that we had in Halo Anniversary. Just seems like a lot more going on. It is pretty nice looking. Okay, so this... Did we already see this in, this does not look like it's, with this light that's coming in, this is daylight. This is not light coming from the, Pelican itself. So that was not them flying to the Truth and Reconciliation. So this could be taking place at the end of Halo. Could possibly be Assault on the Control Room. I don't know where else this would be. And Chief encountering Guilty Spark. And just, again, let's just appreciate just how dark and moody it is. I am so in love with how that looks. Like, there aren't any, like, light sources around to make, like, you know, to make excuses of artificial light. So, really pleased with that. And, you know, Guilty Spark looks like Guilty Spark. In fact, again, you know, we're dealing with such compressed stuff, but you can actually see all of like the little water droplets on him. I really like that. That's such a cool detail. We're in a Pelican and we're shooting out. As I'm editing, it looks like this might be in the Bumblebee, in the escape pod. It's a possibility. Does look like a Pelican to me, but to be fair, there's a lot of similarities between the inside of a Pelican and the inside of a Bumblebee. Back to Prequel. Chief taking out a grunt. Looks like that grunt had a... Okay, so the grunt had a plasma grenade primed. Kills the grunt with a melee. Grabs the plasma grenade and then throws it at that grunt. Love it. Then we're back to main mission. This is that screenshot from Truth and Reconciliation. So it's right before Keyes takes him out. And like, looking at Cortana right there, I am just really pleased with how that looks. I expressed in my breakdown with the screenshots that I just did not like how Halo Infinite did the holograms. Like, they're projected too perfectly. But first look at Sentinels. Sentinels are looking cool. So this is that part right near the end of the game. Right before we get to go and destroy the Pillar of Autumn. There is tons of sand and dirt that got into the bridge when it crashed. So right after Chief plugged Cortana back in his head. And we got the Warthog run right here. And I love this change. This big vehicle bay kind of thing. Like having the Warthogs that are either being built or repaired or whatever, being suspended. It might be purely just storage where they have them during transport, that kind of thing. But yeah, that looks so cool. We can see like the open, torn up hole up there. Yeah, the all the Covenant and the Sentinels fighting as we're driving through. Fantastic.
Chief, you ever get tired of being the strong, almost silent type?
No.
I don't think it's David Scully. It really doesn't seem like it. He's doing a great job, though. And July 28th, We have the confirmation. So yeah, I'm very excited, guys. I am only more excited. I didn't see anything that I consider to be a red flag. I know people are complaining about Cortana's face and Johnson's face, and you know, I think Johnson's face is fine. I think Cortana's face, we need to see more of it. And we need to see her perform more, because as of right now, it's just a very stoic face. And that's not Cortana. But we know with her line delivery and everything, she is going to be witty and sarcastic and all those good things. This is a long time coming. And I sure hope that this is just the tip of the iceberg. I hope that we are going to be getting more announcements soon. I don't remember when Halo Fest is supposed to be taking place, but I think safe to say we're going to get a big reveal then. Especially it takes place after the remake comes out, because we're getting this thing in like almost a month and a half. So we're almost there. Oh, and then let's take a look at this. All right, so Premium Edition. You get the game. I like that. I want the game. That gives us a digital copy of the Art of Campaign Evolved. That is cool. Hungry Buzzards. So we get a short story. We get a game manual. That's cool. I mean, I don't think that they tend to do even digital game manuals. So, and then stuff we already knew was going to be in here. So to note with all of the cosmetics, because there's like a lot of goofy takes on it. People saying like, why does a single player game need cosmetics? It's like, first and foremost, I think they already said that the great majority of the cosmetics are unlockable from playing the game. I think it's kind of a requirement. A BRO.D.S.T video needs to mention Resident Evil. All the Resident Evil games do that. You have cosmetics, and they have it where you can purchase them, but you can also unlock cosmetics. And it's just to give yourself variety. But they didn't get into this on here, but I do know that there is going to be a third person option in the game. And so playing the game in third person gives you more reason to play with different cosmetics. If you're playing through for the 5th time and you're like, well, I want Master Chief to look like a hunter this time, you can go for it. And same for the weapons. So I am 100% on board. Obviously, I've been since day one because I am who I am. I see Halo. I tend to like Halo. There's nothing in this that I hate. There's small things which is like, yeah, I would prefer this or I'd prefer that, but I wish we got to see gameplay of the main missions. That's the one thing. But anyway, that is my breakdown of everything in this. I wonder if anyone else is going to come to the realization of what's going on in the prequel missions that I noticed. If you were excited, let me know. While I'm finishing off this video, a few things did come to light. Number one, there's a collector's edition. It is on the Xbox store, a physical collector's edition that includes like a statue, steelbook, includes a physical copy of that art book. Then you get all of the other goodies that come along with it. So I managed to pre-order that. Definitely, if you're interested, go for it sooner rather than later. I'm sure it's very limited. Second, tomorrow, June 8th, we are getting another trailer. So I sure have my work cut out for me. So stand by for that one, I guess. Till then, that's all I got for you. God bless. Christ is King. Bye-bye.